Why people secretly want you to fail. Now, people usually don't say this out loud because they won't admit it, because sometimes they don't even know it themselves. But a lot of people around you quietly want you to fail, not dramatically, not publicly, just enough so they don't feel uncomfortable. And here's the most important part. It's usually not even about you. It's about what you represent. Most people are living with decisions they never fully accepted, things they avoided, risks they didn't take, and versions of themselves they walked away from. They learn to live with that by surrounding themselves with people who look familiar. The same pace, the same struggles, the same excuses. That is the thing that creates that psychological comfort. Everyone feels normal, then someone changes. Not talks about changing, actually. Changes, though. The discipline improved, their focus sharpened, and life started moving forward. And suddenly the balance breaks because your progress introduces a question they were never planning to answer. If they can do it, why didn't I? That question hurts, so the mind defends itself, not by growing, but by shrinking the threat. That's when people start hoping you fail. Not because they hate you, not because failure would restore their comfort. If you fail, their choices feel justified again. If you quit, their hesitations feel smart. Your failure protects their identity. That's the uncomfortable truth. And most people don't compare themselves to those far ahead. They compare themselves to people nearby. The same age, same background, and the same starting point. That's why success from someone close hits harder than success from a stranger. A stranger doesn't challenge identity, you do. So instead of processing that discomfort, people reframe the situation. They say things like, you're lucky, you've changed, that won't last, and you're just doing too much. Those aren't observations, they're defenses. Each one creates distance between your progress and their responsibility, but here's what gets even darker. Sometimes people don't just hope you fail, they start pulling it on you. They start to joke more, they distract you more, they bring up the past, they normalize quitting. Not crazy amount, but just little by little. It's the social version of gravity, trying to pull you back to where everyone feels equal again. This is why growth often feels lonely, not because success isolates you, not because it removes your shared justifications. It's just that you no longer complain the same way, you no longer cope the same way, you no longer bond over the same things. And that threatens the group comfort. Here's the part people misunderstand, is that this doesn't make them evil, it kind of just makes them human, because the mind protects self-image at all costs. Like in the videos before, your mind and your brain is like a machine. You give information and it creates its own code. And that is one of the easiest ways to protect itself, is to hope the person who's changing doesn't succeed. That way, nothing has to be reconsidered. Here's a mistake people make though. They try to shrink their progress to keep relationships intact. They explain themselves too much. They soften their ambitions. They slow down. They trade momentum for approval, and quietly they drift back. Not because they wanted to, not because they felt guilty, because the guilt is dangerous. Because it convinces you that becoming better is somehow unfamiliar and unfair, but it's not. You are not responsible for protecting other people's comfort, and you are not obligated to fail so that others can feel okay. The right people don't need you to fail. They don't feel threatened by growth, and they don't get exposed by your effort. They either grow with you or they respect you from the distance. The wrong people now. They need you to stay where you are. So if you ever feel resistant when you start improving, don't immediately assume you're doing something wrong. Sometimes that resistance is confirmation. Confirmation that you're stepping outside a system that depend on you staying small. People don't always want you to fail because they dislike you. Sometimes they want you to fail because your success would force them to face themselves. And that's a confrontation most people spend their lives avoiding.